sometimes I'm intentional about, tackling particular justice issues, but most of the time I'm not. Just like in the beginning, I wasn't like, I'm going to make art about racial justice. I was like, I'm just going to write about my life honestly. And that vulnerability connected to people. It helped people who also experienced it feel not as alone. It helped people who didn't experience it understand it. And so, yeah, for me, I want to keep making art. And I'm going to keep making art that tells the whole story of my life. I don't just want to talk about the heavy, hard stuff. I don't just want to talk about the lighthearted, fun stuff. I want to make art reflective of my entire human experience. And as a person of faith, I don't really feel the need to like intentionally insert my faith. I'm like, if I'm writing about my whole life and my faith is a big part of my life, then it's going to be there naturally. I think that's where a lot of artists who are Christians fail. They feel like, well, I'm a Christian, so I have to mention Jesus every single, and I'm like, I have songs and poems that never mention God or the Bible or whatever, and it's done just as much important spiritual work as other pieces that are overtly Christian. Because I was honest about a conversation about suicide, or I was honest about a moment of joy that I had. Like, I know this sounds ridiculous, but this isn't even a poem, but just for an example of what I'm saying, when I started traveling, I like food. I like snacks. I like weird stuff. To me, the weirder, the better. If it's something I've never tried before, I'm always going to order it on the menu. Like, what is that? That sounds gross. I'll take one.
Yeah.
And so one thing that happened was, as I got a lot of opportunities to travel in my 20s, I realized that even simple things like potato chips were drastically different in different countries and even different parts of America and Canada. But especially when I was traveling overseas, it was just like lamb flavored potato chips and things like that. So I got in the habit of like buying and trying these weird flavored chips on social media. I just posted to Instagram like a live review of me eating these, lasagna flavored Lay's or whatever the thing was. And one time, I make a lot of art about important things that I pour a lot of time into crafting these really important, messages, whatever. But I also just eat chips on Instagram. And I posted this video and this woman responded, and she's around my age. And she goes, "Thank you so much for posting this." She's like, "I'm in an abusive marriage. And part of the reason I stay is because I'm so afraid of being single at this age. I feel like I will be so lonely and my life would be so depressing and sad and like I wouldn't have any joy. So even though my husband is not a good husband and is harming me, I still feel like at least there's someone there." She goes, "But watching you exist as a very publicly single person," I make fun of myself for being single a lot, as a publicly single person around my same age, still enjoying life, getting so much joy out of funny flavored potato chips. She says, "It literally gives me hope that like, if I do ever have the courage to leave my abusive situation, that I could still have a beautiful life and be happy and have joy." Right? So I wasn't like, this is the gospel as explained in potato chips. I was just publicly having joy.
Right.
Right? And so that's what I mean. Like, I can have joy because I know deep down, like, I love God, I love life, and all of these things are connected. But in that moment, if I would have been up there with my Bible cracked open, just preaching, she wouldn't have had that epiphany that she had. So to me, to just exist as a vulnerable human being, to be publicly in love and sad and struggling and celebrating, all of it could do something good. Another moment, which again, isn't even a song or a poem. I went through a breakup. And my girlfriend at the time was very concerned because, people gossip, people fill in the blank. We ended things on good terms. We just weren't the right fit for each other. And she was like, "Oh my gosh, people are going to be whispering about us." And I was like, who cares? Because I don't care. I'm like, for me, rumors, no matter who you are, I mean, they crucified Jesus, right? You could be perfect and they find something negative to say about you. So it didn't really bother me, but it was bothering her. And so I was like, okay, well, why don't we just control the narrative? She's like, what do you mean? I was like, let's take a picture together and let's write a post about the fact that we broke up and that we still love each other and we still are supporting each other, but we just realized we weren't a right fit. Like, this is what happened, you know, to just squash the rumors before they even get out there. And she was like, that's so weird, but let's do it. And we did. And when I tell you, we got dozens of messages from people saying, thank you so much. This was the most awesome thing I've ever seen. Wow, you took so much shame out of, you know, what I'm going through to just, hey, you can be a good person. You don't have to demonize your ex. You can, it's okay. You guys look so great. We thought you were a good couple. And to be like, wow, you know, it was just like so many people saying, man, I didn't know. I also didn't know you could do that. I didn't know you could be that vulnerable. It seemed awkward, but at the same time liberating, you know, and it was like, yeah, people get divorced, people break up. It happens. You're a human being. We don't have to shame ourselves. We don't have to hide our pain. We don't have to hide our joy. We could just exist. And again, it was like people on a deep spiritual level were like, man, your breakup post really healed something in me.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, yeah.